Skillshare is deleting classes left, right and centre, and this means that instructors are going to be getting reduced royalties for their classes, and none of us want that. Thankfully though, there is a way in which you can prevent it, like what I'm doing right now. Come in a bit closer and I'll tell you what's going on and what we can do about it. It all started when I was happily reviewing the unexpected performance of my last video, when I got an email from Skillshare, which gave me a fright. And that's because the email said, "Hello Matthew, Skillshare recently introduced a new requirement for all classes. We reserve the right to exclude classes from the low engagement threshold. You haven't met this. We are providing you with at least 30 days notice before your class is closed." Much love, Skillshare. Finding a way to fix a class in such a short space of time is going to be hard. But at least Skillshare does detail what this low engagement threshold is. They could be a bit nicer about it though. To give context as to why Skillshare are making these changes, we need to explore the issue with online courses. And that's unfortunately due to the quality of the courses that you get. And it's particularly prevalent if you look at Udemy as an example. I think there are some fantastic courses on Udemy which have allowed me to upskill. But I think the problem is that the filter on Udemy seems a little too relaxed on what gets published. And I realise that I encourage people to create income streams, such as making courses, but I would say they need to provide value to your students. All too often, I see courses that are death by PowerPoint, poor audio without clear direction, or structured lectures and exercises which put the learnt theory into practice, which overall gives the student a bad experience as it doesn't maximise their learning potential, which is why they enrolled in the first place. And with Udemy being so flooded with what I feel to be sadly subpar courses, it can be really difficult to find those great courses, which means they don't get as many enrolling students and revenue. And if you ask Skillshare, why are you deleting classes? They'd give you 3 primary reasons. Number 1, students struggle to find the good classes amongst the sea of bad. Number 2, students interacting with low engagement classes tend not to renew their memberships. And 3, they want instructors to find meaningful success on the platform, I guess by having their classes more visible and earning more on the platform. Now Skillshare does give details on what you need to do to meet that low engagement threshold. But before we do that, we should touch upon why engagement is so important on the platform. Point 2 regarding the reduction in memberships is important due to the way in which the royalty structure system works for Skillshare. Remember that Udemy is different and relies on students finding and purchasing your courses. You just need good footfall and a good conversion rate, and on a good day you earn around $4 per enrollment as an instructor. Whereas Skillshare works on a different structure where you get paid per minute of your course viewed, and that's funded from a pool generated from subscriptions of premium customers. So Skillshare is predominantly about retention. You need your students engaged and sticking around for the whole of the course. But Skillshare also reveals that it's important to do this to ensure your students stay on the platform. So how do Skillshare define this low engagement threshold? Well, they describe it like this. Classes will be subject to removal if all of the following are true. Your class has been on Skillshare for more than a year. Obvious enough, and that means that all of my classes are included. Your class has less than a 2.5 average rating or no reviews at all, which is where my classes fall down, as it seems to be really difficult to get reviews. I didn't get a single one in about 150 enrollments. And to be clear, you can calculate your score by adding up all of your ratings where this exceeded equals 4, yes equals 3, somewhat equals 2, and not really equals 1. Then divide that total score by the total number of reviews that you have. If your rating is above 2.5, then your classes are safe, but if not, we go on to the next stage. Your class has accrued fewer than 450 minutes watched in each month of the past year, which for new instructors is quite difficult to achieve. So I'd be going on to the next criteria. Your class has accrued fewer than 300 minutes watched total across the past 3 months. I have 3 classes on Skillshare where 2 of them meet this criteria, but the third one falls short. You can check how many minutes you've accrued each month by clicking Teach, then your teacher's stats, scroll down to minutes watched, then select months. You can then hover over the circles to get your exact minutes watched at each month for only the last 6 months. It's a bit of a shame that they don't keep data beyond 6 months for the number of students enrolled and the number of minutes that they've watched. The only way you can keep track of this is to do it yourself manually. You can check your number of minutes watched by class in a similar way, picking your classes on the right hand side, again scrolling to minutes watched and then filtering to months. So now that you can quantify if you have a problem, what exactly can you do to fix it? But before that, I want to put the problem to you in a brutally honest way if you find yourself in this scenario. And don't forget that one of my classes is at risk, so I'm in the same boat. And Skillshare does give some help on how to do this with a link in the description, but it might not save you from deletion. Due to how the requirement is worded, a single review of yes or above can be all it takes to not be subject to removal. And that is independent of time as well. It won't lapse, and so it feels like the criteria to tackle. You could try and meet the minutes goal, which makes sense as you'll be getting more revenue. And Skillshare gives some help on how to do this in the link in the description, but it might not save you from deletion. I'm also not massively impressed with the advice that it gives, as it's all reasonably obvious, mostly about making sure you've got a strong image, title and description, which I've already done to a reasonable level. The most likely way that I feel you can save yourself from class deletions in this scenario is by actively pushing traffic to those classes, which is hard if you don't have a platform from which to do so. My only platform is YouTube, where I have 1 month free trials to Skillshare in the descriptions of all my videos. My only issue is that my classes aren't well suited to my YouTube audience, but I would say that I think Skillshare classes in general are brilliant to gain access to a wealth of upskilling potential. The only advice that I can say here is to use your free trial promotion code when you do push traffic. And you can find the promotion links by clicking Teach, Your Teacher Stats, then click this Referral Stats button and copy your link. Hopefully your classes won't get deleted, but instead you'll prosper. But if you're wondering about how Skillshare stacks up with Udemy in terms of earnings, then check out this video here for a comparison.